Hey guys, it's so good to be with you. We're here to have a conversation about what it would mean to serve with the poor. And I'm here with my friends Mike and Sarah Yaiko and Kyle and Emily Patinsky. And these guys have been working with the poor now for a while and have lots of experience. And I've really enjoyed not only getting to know them as people, but also gleaning from them and their experiences in working amongst the poor. Now, I know God calls us to work with the poor. I know He has a heart, and we should follow that. We're kind of commanded to engage that. But there's so many misconceptions as to what it means to work with the poor. So many different things that can fly up, whether it be a political season or maybe a bad experience that we had, downtown or overseas or something like that, that kind of mars us a little bit. But there's so much value in it. So, what are some of these misconceptions that we had or that other people have when it comes to working with people in poverty?
Some of the biggest misconceptions that I think people have are that individuals in poverty, they want to be dependent. And serving the city, I've never met anyone that wants to be dependent upon it, someone or something. Some other misconceptions that I really think that are prevalent is we tend to think of things, how we do things in more of a middle class perspective. We just assume that people have these resources or these values that we may not have because our environment and our upbringing shape how we see the world. And that's just different for different people and different environments.
Yeah. I think it's easy to highlight the differences that we have. It's easy to see economic differences, social differences, even cultural or language differences. But on an individual basis, we're all the same kind of different. I mean, all the little boys want to be cool. Most of them think that I'm not cool. And all the little girls want to be pretty. And these people, the culture doesn't dictate their talents. Like, they're smart, they're funny, they're sarcastic, they're just like us.
I think some of the other misconceptions that we have are just honestly the causes of poverty.
Yeah.
A lot of people just think it's the individual's fault that they're in poverty. And really, there's a multifaceted spectrum why someone's in poverty. It goes from their environment to the political and economic structures. Even to the resources in the community. It's a there's multifaceted reasons why someone's in poverty.
Yeah, the fact that we would say someone has to work against the grain, even if we thought they really did have all the same opportunities, there's a reason why that phrase exists. They're working against the grain. It's not normal. And where we might have grown up and it was. Parents taught us something, our schools said something, our values were different. But if you don't grow up with those values, those parents, those school mindsets, then you grow up with a totally different value system. And so, yeah, those misconceptions carry us a long way.
I think we can look at, there's some that are always triggers, I think, like ways that we believe about a certain thing, whether it's food or money or how we spend our time. And we can look at these and judge people based on decisions that we make and how we do it and how we were raised. And we can look at them and say, well, you're doing it wrong, or I don't agree with how you're doing it, or how could you possibly do that or make that decision? When in fact, we don't know the backstory. We don't know what they grew up in. We don't know what they're currently like. And that's why it's so important to know people and to get to know them, to hear the backstory of why they're making the decisions they're making and what brought them to the place that they're at.
Yeah, when we think about all these different pieces in life, like we think of money, for example, we just think about things differently. Like now, I find myself in kind of a middle class box personally, and every time I get a paycheck or a little bit of extra money or something like that, I'm like, well, how does this fit into my budget? And how am I going to manage it? And how am I going to put this together? But like growing up, I grew up poor with a poor mindset. If I got money, you spend it. I'm the guy that spent thousands of dollars at Taco Bell through college. I would have loved to have put it toward my student loans, thinking backwards now, but I just grew up to spend. It was my value system, and that changes things, and obviously that wasn't helping anything. So we all grow up in these different mindsets, and it changes how we might interact with that. Now, noting these misconceptions that we have as we work with the poor, what are some of the mindsets that we need to have as servants, as volunteers, as ministers when we're working with the poor?
I think one of the the biggest mindsets we have to have are people are valuable in God's eyes. People have strengths, they have assets, and they have great things to bring to the table that often go unrecognized because maybe the way they present themselves, maybe the way they look, maybe the way they act. But we're all great in God's sight, and we just have to realize that that's what they bring to the table.
We need to take the time to learn what they can offer and how we can work together to change the situation instead of treating it like a project. And we need to come along beside them. We need to work together.
So good.
I think one of the things that I've learned in this process, and I'm still learning, is that a lot of times we come in and we feel like we know what we're doing, and we know what's best for them and what they should be doing, and we have this plan for their life, and really what that's not at all how things should work. Like we need to come in with a mindset of how can I learn from you, and what can you teach me, and how can we partner in life, and not I've got it all figured out, because that will automatically shut them down. Like whoever that person is will see us and be like, yeah, I don't really want to have that relationship with you. So.
And no one wants to be told what to do or talked down to. So how we talk to people matters.
Yeah. I think that concept of paternalism can get us in a lot of trouble. We think because maybe we have a little bit more money or we've had a different life experience, went to a different school, we can come in with an arrogance that doesn't help us build any bridges. And if we think about the people that have impacted us most in life, it's those that we've had longer relationships with, people that we've walked with for a couple of years, people that we've walked with over time, not kind of remember that teacher that one time they said it and they impacted my life forever. Like that so rarely happens. It's the people that have been in it for the long haul. And we have an opportunity to step into those roles as followers of Jesus and impact them in that way.
And we've kind of seen that even in Haiti too. Every Haitian speaks 3 words of English. Every Haitian says dollar please. And it's the unfortunate reality of what happens whenever people want to help, but they don't do it in a way that's long-term and actually helpful.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate because we have an opportunity to change things, and if we don't go with the right mindset, we actually might add more to what's wrong in the picture as opposed to actually helping in those scenarios.
Yeah, and if we don't ask them what they want, and if we just come in there and say, you know what, you need this because I think you need this, how's that going to come off? And is it helping them or is it hurting them?
Yeah, how well does that work for us? You know what you need. It doesn't work very well. Yeah. Speaking, would you like to say something?
And that's just kind of us being selfish. Maybe it's we want to do something so that we can share what we've done, and we want to do something so we feel good about ourselves. So we need to make sure we're not coming at it with that attitude. Also, like we're not going on a mission trip so we can take pictures and show everyone that we went there. It's not about that. It's about them, and we need to take the time to do what they need.
That's so good. So good. Now, noting some of these kind of obstacles, what are some of the big obstacles that are faced maybe when it comes to people getting out of poverty in general, or like getting to the point where you can actually share the gospel? What are some of the obstacles kind of get in the way of some of the meaningful work?
Some of the obstacles about trying to get someone out of poverty, is if you're living in a really unstable environment, that's the first thing that we have to tackle. If you're looking for food, water, or shelter, I can talk to them blue in the face about the gospel or anything else, and you're not going to listen to me. So how can we stabilize the environment? And when you stabilize someone's environment, you're really showing the love of Christ to them. And then just trying to remove some of the barriers that are present in their life for them to get to where they want to go and not to where we think they should go.
I think it's about the relationship. Like we've been saying, you have to take time, you have to be patient and make a real relationship with someone before you share your gospel, because we don't know the experiences they've had with the church or other people sharing it with them. So we want to make sure that we're being sincere and they know we're being sincere.
Well, I think that God calls us to bridge the gap for people, to help them get out of poverty. Like when you think about, like, I couldn't have gone to college if my parents hadn't helped me, and I think about the family that we're helping right now. Like, there's some things that they just physically could not do for themselves that we were able to bridge that gap until they could. And if you don't have that person, if you don't have that community, then you first of all, you may not have a bridge to the gospel, and then you also don't have a way out of poverty, no matter how hard you try. It's just, you may be lacking those resources.
That's very good. Now imagine you're trying to get someone, help them get involved. Someone at the church is like, I think I want to help. I want to get involved with the poor. I sense God's call. I think I might really have a passion for that. What are some simple ways for people to start getting involved? Some things they could look to begin making an impact?
We're kind of blessed in Akron. We've got a wonderful refugee population in Akron that are great people and give us wonderful opportunities to interact not only with a different economic class, but a different culture and even different languages.
Yeah, lots of different simple things we can do to interact with those families, help them with their basic needs. It's pretty awesome. It's good.
I think other ways to get involved, there's a lot of in-school or out-of-school mentoring programs. And just the simple things, if you don't think you have any skills, you have a lot of skills to bring to the table. Just showing up and being that consistent, positive role model for someone and just modeling positive behavior, you have no idea how far that will go with someone. I mean, maybe that's the first positive person they've seen all week, and they look forward to it.
So good.
I think there are lots of organizations that I love that you tell them, I love to do this thing, and they'll find a fit for you. They'll find a place, they'll find a way to use that so that you get to do the thing you love with other people and you get to teach. And it's just a great way to jump in.
I think maybe take a class and see what you're great at, or you'd learn more about poverty and just do some research and get yourself ready and talk to others who are serving and find out what's best for you. It doesn't have to be intimidating.
So good. Now, you guys have all been involved in this type of ministry. What have been some of the most rewarding aspects? I know there's a reason you guys keep at it and others like you keep at it. What are some of those things you're like, man, I love doing this because... What are some of those things for you guys?
It's definitely the relationship. Going into it, we went into it just wanting to do our best and share the gospel, but it's turned into so much more. And, friends that we want to have to our house and friends that we're doing life with. And they've become sort of like our life group right now. And so it's just nice to see our kids grow up with their kids, and we're all in it together, and I really enjoy it.
I think the most rewarding thing for me is just seeing people's expectations of themselves increase dramatically, just by being a part of their life, knowing them before, seeing how they set their expectations so low, and having a diehard belief in them that they can achieve greatness because that's what God's called them to do, and seeing them achieve that greatness and just being a part of that is very humbling. And it's serving in the city is great for the person, but it's also great for you as well.
I think I would agree with both of those. Like, for me, it's been seeing this person I didn't know at all become like family, and but it's also been about seeing how God's changed me, and that I don't know everything, and I still have a lot to learn, and that He's teaching me how to trust and just how to rely on Him completely to do this, whatever we're doing.
Yeah, really seeing prayers answered too. Seeing people go from one place, like you were saying, Kyle, to a point where they're self-sufficient and even asking to come to church, and just those kind of prayers.
That's fantastic. So as we think through these misconceptions that maybe we have, whether it be about the folks we're working with or even the misconceived notions that we have about ourselves, and we examine the obstacles before us, we realize it's going to be a hard road, we have to remember the fact that there is so much reward both here that we can experience with these folks, with these families, even in their communities as they start to transform, but then also eternally as well. We've seen folks give their lives to Jesus. We've seen people take steps in their faith, and our relationship with Jesus continues to go to the next level because we're willing to obey and follow his call to love on people. So I pray that you guys are encouraged, continue to explore this, take a step of faith forward, get involved, and you too might be on the next video where we talk about how to serve and engage those in poor. So keep it up, keep serving Jesus.